Welcome to our channel, where we explore the principles of Stoicism and how they can be applied to everyday life, including relationships. In today's video, we're going to delve into an intriguing topic. What happens when you stop looking for someone who used to be important in your life? What do they feel, and how does your detachment affect them? Whether it's a romantic partner, a close friend, or even a family member, there's often a moment when you realize that your efforts to maintain the relationship are unreciprocated. At that point, walking away may feel like the only option. But what happens on the other side? How does the person you've stopped seeking out react? Do they miss you? And if so, why? Stoicism teaches us the value of self-control, emotional resilience, and the importance of focusing on what we can control, our own actions and reactions. When you stop looking for someone, you reclaim your power. You shift the dynamic, creating a void that the other person may start to feel deeply. In this video, we'll explore 9 lessons drawn from Stoic philosophy and psychological insights that reveal what they feel when you stop looking for them and how this can make them miss you. Each lesson will provide you with a deeper understanding of human behavior, the power of detachment, and how to cultivate a sense of inner peace regardless of the outcome. Let's begin. Lesson 1. The shock of absence. When you suddenly stop looking for someone, the first thing they might feel is a shock. Humans are creatures of habit, and when we're used to someone's constant presence, whether through messages, calls, or physical interactions, its sudden absence can be startling. This shock is often a result of the brain's natural resistance to change. When you're no longer there, their routine is disrupted. The person might not realize it immediately, but they begin to notice something is missing. A familiar voice, a consistent check-in, or a supportive presence. From a Stoic perspective, this shock isn't something you intend to cause. Instead, it's a natural consequence of your decision to focus on your own well-being. The Stoics teach us that we can't control how others react to our actions, but we can control the actions we take. By withdrawing your attention, you're not trying to manipulate or hurt them. Rather, you're choosing to prioritize your peace of mind. As the shock settles in, they may start to reflect on what your presence meant to them. This reflection can lead to a growing sense of loss, which brings us to our next lesson. Lesson 2. The realization of value. After the initial shock, the person might begin to realize the value you brought into their life. Absence has a way of highlighting what was once taken for granted. When you were always there, they may have overlooked your contributions, assuming that you would always be around. This realization can be profound. They start to remember the support, the kindness, the small gestures of care that you consistently provided. In many cases, it's only when something is gone that its true worth is recognized. In the context of Stoicism, this is a powerful reminder of impermanence and the importance of not being overly attached to external things or people. The Stoics believed that everything is temporary, and by understanding this, we can maintain a sense of inner tranquility. When you stop looking for someone, you embrace this impermanence, allowing the other person to confront it as well. As they begin to see your value more clearly, the next feeling that often arises is regret. Lesson 3. The stirring of regret. Regret is a powerful emotion that often follows the realization of someone's value. When you stop looking for them, the person may start to question their past actions and decisions. They might think about the times they neglected your efforts, dismissed your feelings, or failed to reciprocate the energy you invested in the relationship. This regret can manifest in many ways. Maybe they remember a particular moment where they could have been more present, or they might regret not appreciating you more when they had the chance. Regret, when it's too late to change the past, can lead to a deep sense of loss. For you, Practicing Stoicism means accepting that their regret is not your burden to carry. Regret belongs to them, and it stems from their choices and actions. Your role is to continue focusing on your own path, not to be drawn back into the relationship out of pity or a sense of responsibility for their feelings. This regret might motivate them to reach out, to reconnect, or to apologize. However, the key is to remain centered in your own values and not be swayed by their emotional turmoil. Their regret is a sign that they miss what you brought into their life, but it doesn't mean you need to re-engage if it's not aligned with your well-being. Lesson 4: the pain of emptiness. As the days go by and your absence becomes more pronounced, the person may begin to feel a growing sense of emptiness. The space you once occupied in their life is now a void, and it can be unsettling. This emptiness is not just about missing your presence, but also about the loss of the connection that provided them with comfort, validation, or a sense of belonging. In relationships, especially those that were emotionally significant, the bond creates a kind of emotional security. When you step away, that security is disrupted, and the person is left to face the emptiness on their own. This can be particularly painful if they relied on you for emotional support or companionship. From a Stoic perspective, this emptiness is a natural part of detachment. It's important to recognize that this emptiness is their responsibility to fill, not yours. Stoicism teaches us to be self-reliant and to find contentment within ourselves, rather than depending on others for our happiness. As they grapple with this emptiness, it often leads to a heightened awareness of how much they depended on you, which in turn deepens their longing for your presence. Lesson 5: the urge to reconnect. When someone begins to feel the pain of emptiness, it often triggers a strong urge to reconnect. They might reach out, hoping to restore the relationship to what it once was. This urge can be driven by a desire to fill the void, to alleviate their own discomfort, or to recapture the feelings of security and happiness that your presence provided. It's important to recognize that this urge is more about them than it is about you. It's a reaction to their own feelings of loss and regret. They may not fully understand why they feel compelled to reach out. They just know that they miss what they had with you. As a practitioner of Stoicism, you should approach this situation with caution. The Stoics remind us to be wary of being pulled back into situations that don't serve our best interests. Before responding, consider whether reconnecting aligns with your values and whether it will contribute to your peace of mind. If you do choose to engage, do so from a place of strength and clarity. Set clear boundaries and don't allow their urgency to dictate your actions. Remember, their need to reconnect is a reflection of their feelings, not a demand you must fulfill. Lesson 6: the reality check. When you don't immediately respond to their attempts to reconnect, it can serve as a reality check for them. They start to realize that you're no longer as available or invested as you once were. This can be a sobering moment, forcing them to confront the reality of the situation. You've moved on, and they're no longer a priority in your life. This reality check can be painful, but it's also necessary for their growth. It pushes them to reflect on why things ended up this way and what role they played in the current state of the relationship. They may come to terms with the fact that they took you for granted or didn't appreciate you enough when they had the chance. For you, this is a moment of empowerment. By maintaining your distance and not rushing back at the first sign of their regret, you reinforce your own boundaries and demonstrate self-respect. Stoicism teaches us the importance of living in accordance with our principles and not being swayed by the emotions or desires of others. This reality check is a crucial step in making them truly miss you. It forces them to acknowledge that your absence is not just temporary. It's a consequence of their actions, and it's something they need to come to terms with. Lesson 7. The search for closure. As the longing intensifies, the person may seek closure. This search for closure is their way of trying to make sense of the situation and find a way to move forward. They might want to have one last conversation, ask questions about why things ended, or try to understand your perspective. Closure is a concept that can be complex, as it often involves seeking answers that may not be readily available. For them, closure might be about finding peace with the situation, accepting the loss, and trying to move on. However, it's important to recognize that closure is something that ultimately comes from within. External validation or explanations might provide temporary relief, but true closure requires internal reflection and acceptance. In Stoicism, the idea of closure is tied to the acceptance of fate and the understanding that not all questions will have clear answers. The Stoics taught that we should focus on what is within our control, our thoughts, actions, and responses, rather than seeking closure from others. If they come to you looking for closure, it's important to approach the situation with compassion, but also with firmness. You don't owe anyone an explanation that compromises your peace of mind or drags you back into a situation that you've moved on from. If you choose to engage in a conversation for closure, do so with the intent of bringing finality to the situation, not reigniting old wounds. Closure, from a Stoic perspective, is about letting go and finding contentment within yourself, regardless of the other person's understanding or acceptance of the situation. Lesson 8. The growth from reflection. As they move through the emotions of shock, regret, longing, and the search for closure, the person may begin to experience personal growth. This phase involves deep reflection on their past actions, behaviors, and the relationship itself. They might start to see patterns in their behavior that contributed to the disconnect, leading to a greater understanding of themselves. This growth can be one of the most positive outcomes of your decision to stop looking for them. Sometimes it takes the loss of something significant to prompt real introspection and change. They may come to realize the areas in which they need to grow, not just in relationships, but in other aspects of their life as well. From a Stoic standpoint, this is a reminder that every experience, even painful ones, can lead to growth and wisdom. The Stoics believed that adversity is a key driver of personal development. By stepping away, you've not only created the space for your own growth, but also provided an opportunity for the other person to reflect and evolve. Their growth doesn't mean that you need to re-enter their life, but it does signify that your decision to detach has had a meaningful impact. Whether they choose to act on this growth is entirely up to them. Your focus should remain on your journey, continuing to apply Stoic principles to cultivate inner peace and wisdom. Lesson 9. The longing for what was lost. As time goes on, the person may begin to experience a deep longing for what was lost. This longing is not just about missing you as an individual, but also about mourning the relationship and the connection you once shared. They may start to romanticize the past, remembering the good times and overlooking the reasons why the relationship or connection ended in the first place. This nostalgic longing can be powerful, leading them to yearn for the comfort, joy, and companionship that you provided. This phase is where they truly start to miss you, not just in a superficial way, but in a profound emotional sense. They might revisit old memories, look at photos, or replay conversations in their mind. The void you left in their life becomes more pronounced as they realize that those moments can't be easily replaced. For you, this lesson underscores the Stoic principle of focusing on what you can control. You can't control their longing or their emotional journey. You can only control how you respond to it. Stoicism encourages us to live in the present and to not be dragged down by the past. While they are caught up in longing for what was, you should remain grounded in the present, focusing on your growth and well-being. Their longing might make them reach out in more sentimental ways, perhaps trying to rekindle the relationship based on shared memories. However, it's essential to remember why you stopped looking for them in the first place. Nostalgia can be misleading, and while they may long for the past, it doesn't necessarily mean that re-entering their life will bring you peace or fulfillment.